Now, today, we will continue with what we were studying. Last time, we ended Genesis chapter, the whole of Genesis. I rushed through, and I believe that you read by yourself. And if you couldn't read, I would like to point out a few things to you before we enter into Exodus today. Go back to Genesis chapter 38. Can you hear me clearly? Genesis chapter 38. Let me pick something from there. You know, if you check the family line of Jesus in the book of Matthew, can you first open to the book of Matthew? If you have two devices, you can. The book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Matthew 1:1.
Matthew chapter 1, right? And then look at verse 1. Verse 2, look at verse 2. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. So what I wanted you to see is the family line of Jesus came from Abraham, and then Abraham to Isaac. I think you can relate with that. And then from Isaac to Jacob. Then Jacob had 12 sons. Out of the 12 sons, Judah was taken. All right, Judah was taken. So I want to show you some things from here. From that. Go to Genesis 38. Those of you who read the story, if you don't read it, we are not going to read all. So spend time to read it later for yourself. Can somebody read for us from verse 1?
Chapter 38, reading from verse 1 in the King James Version. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife from his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And as Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
Thank you. Judah married, I hope you saw it, verse 2. And Judah saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite. So Judah married a Canaanite woman. And you know, now the Canaanite woman, and then gave birth to 3 sons. Then the first son married. The wife of the first son was not a Gentile, was a Jew. So something happened. The husband died. That is the first son of Judah died. Then the second one, in their custom in those days, when you have sons and the wife of, and the husband dies, the next the next in rank will have to marry the woman. And then when you marry the woman and you give birth, the child is not yours. The child is for your late brother. So the second born thought, look, even if I give birth, I'm not going to have these children to myself. Therefore, when she went in, the Bible says she spilled it on the ground, so that the woman won't conceive. She don't want to do any work that is not his own. So God was unpleased with what he did, and God killed him as well. So the woman now is left with the third son of Judah, who is the only son alive now. So by their custom, the last born will also have to marry the woman. But Judah don't want the same thing to happen. Judah don't know what happened to the first one that he died. He don't know what happened to the second one that he died. So he don't want the third one, which is the last born, the only son left now, to also get into trouble. So he decided to go. And even then, he was not old. So he was like, you go to your father's house, be by yourself for now, till the child will grow. Later on, the child grew and still was not given to him. To her, to wife. So Judah went to the daughter-in-law, that is the wife of the firstborn that the second one married. He went to that town, and then anyhow it happened, and he ended up sleeping with her, and she got pregnant and gave birth to twins. And God used one of those twins as the family line of Jesus Christ. So if you read Matthew chapter 1 and verse 3, you will see that, and Judah begot Phares and Zerah. Those are the name of the twins. And then God picked the Phares as to continue the family line of Christ. So if you study your Bible, you can discover all these genealogies. They are all people that lived. You will discover all of them. So that one is in Genesis 38. Now, let's get into Genesis 40. Okay, let me see if there's something we have to know in Genesis 39. Genesis 39, Joseph was sold as a slave into Egypt. All right. So this guy is now a slave in Egypt. Genesis 40. Joseph got into Egypt and became a master or a servant in Potiphar's house. And the Bible said the man was blessed as a result of Joseph's presence in the house. The man was mightily blessed. And everything was all right until one day he got tempted by Potiphar's wife, and he ran away. The woman lied against him, and he ended up in prison. Joseph ended up in prison just because he refused to sleep with Potiphar's wife. Then in the prison, the Bible said God was with him. So he was still made the captain in the prison. Can you imagine? He was still the captain in the prison. So he was in charge of all the prisoners. So every morning, Joseph will have to wake up, go and check all the prison rooms to take record of what is happening, if everybody is fine, what is the concern, if they will need anything. Joseph will take that record and report to the prison masters. So one morning, something happened in the house of Pharaoh. I told you, God has a plan for this child, this man Joseph. Then at this time, he was like somewhere 25, 26 years. But God has a plan for his life. And the plan was he has to end up in Pharaoh's house. He's going to be a prime minister in Egypt. So he started by entering Potiphar's house. Potiphar, there was no way Potiphar was going to promote this guy to become a prime minister in Egypt. So God will have to take the situation, the story further. So he took this guy to prison. It was something intentional. While Joseph was in prison, two of Pharaoh's servants did something, and they were also in prison. Listen to the story of how God played out. Remember, there is a covenant God made with Abraham, Genesis 15, that his descendants will end up in Egypt. So I'm helping you understand how the covenant played out. So something happened in Pharaoh's house, and two of his guards were in prison as well. And they came, and Joseph was the head. One day, the two servants had a dream the same night. They had a dream. And they woke up and they were troubled. They didn't understand the dream. So Joseph was doing ward rounds as usual that morning and saw these two guys. They are not looking like they used to before. They are sad. And he was like, what's the problem? He said, can you imagine? Both of us, we had a dream and sounds similar and we don't even know the meaning. So he interpreted the dream for them. He said, one of you, the first one, he told him, you are going to be restored back to the house of Pharaoh. And when you are restored, remember me. He asked the guy to remember him when he's restored. Then he told the other one that on the same day, that is 3 days from today, the first one will be restored back to position. The same 3 days, the other one will be hanged, will be killed by Pharaoh. So Pharaoh was going to restore one and killed one. The day came. Incidentally, that third day from the day they had the dream was Pharaoh's birthday. So Pharaoh celebrated his birthday and he restored the other one, and then he killed the other one as the guy, interpreted the dream. Well, they kept quiet. Life went on as usual. But look at Genesis 40, the last verse. Look at the last verse, verse 23. Okay, let's take it from verse 21 so you get it. Then he restored, he is referring to Pharaoh. Then he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Verse 23. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgotten him. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
He said, Pharaoh is going to restore you, but when you go, please kindly remember me. Do something. Because the guy was the one that serves Pharaoh a high rank, very high rank, and he had influence. He could really help, Joseph out of prison. But the Bible says when he got there, he forgot about him. When God is playing his destiny, he doesn't use men's help. He doesn't use men's help. If this guy were to help him, who knows where he would have helped him to. He doesn't need men's help. God is able to play out the story by himself. Go to Genesis 41. Then time went on, life went on as usual. Everything was okay. Then one night, Pharaoh had a dream. Then Pharaoh saw himself standing by a riverside, and he saw 7 fat cows came out of the river. Not long ago, 17 ones also came out. And Pharaoh was like, but this is not surprising, it's normal. Then he saw that the thin ones began to swallow up the fat ones, and he woke up. The same night, he had a dream again. Pharaoh had another dream the same night, and he saw a corn tree, and now there are 7 ears sprang out, and another 7 ears, thin ones sprang out again and consumed the fat ones. Similar dream. And he woke up again. So he was troubled. He called the magicians to come and interpret this dream. They couldn't. So while Pharaoh was angry at them, why couldn't they? The servants that was restored from the prison came around and said, "King, may you live long, sir." I know a guy, when we were in the prison, I had a dream, and he interpreted my dream for me, and it came to pass just as he said. He told me that you will restore me, and it happened as he said. And then he said that you will hang the other one, and it also happened as he said. So if you wouldn't mind, let me get him to see if he can help you here. Pharaoh was like, all right. They brought the guy. The guy was a prisoner. So they have to shave him, help him shower, dress him up, because he was going in the in the presence of the king. So they dressed him up. He got there, and Pharaoh told the dream. Unlike Nebuchadnezzar, who said they should find the dream themselves and interpret. For Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar he read about Pharaoh, who told his dream, and God being good, the Hebrews interpreted. So he was like, no, for me, I'm not going to tell my dream. They should find the dream themselves and give the interpretation as well. He's not going to be like Pharaoh. So Pharaoh told the dream, and Pharaoh and Joseph gave the interpretation of the dream. He said, the 7 fat cows that you saw, they are 7 years of plenty. The land is going to produce massively for you, more than usual. But the 7 thin cows that you saw swallowing the fat ones are also 7 years of famine. And Joseph added that the famine, you had this similar dream. He told him that the dreams are actually the same thing. But you had the dream twice, because the famine is going to be intense, that you will have even forgot that there was even just 7 years of plenty. That means 1 year of the famine will consume all the food served from the 7 years. Just 1 year. So, Pharaoh, this is my advice for you. This is my advice for you. Get men of wisdom and let them gather the food that the 7 years, the food that the 7 years of plenty will produce, because the land is going to produce more than usual. Get wise men to gather these things and store, so that the 7 years of famine, we can use it. And then he said, look, this hunger is going to be intense, that you have to save 50% of the produce from the 7 year of plenty. Then Pharaoh was like, well, who is going to be wise like you? Now that you have all this idea, why not? So he set Joseph to be next to him in command. Everybody was under Joseph. Even Pharaoh himself. He placed himself under Joseph. He said, only at the throne will I be greater than you. That means only few judgments are left for myself to decide. But beside that, everything is in your hands. So Joseph started work. He started buying the food of the people, 50%. He bought from them, and he was storing the food. And like he said, 7 years was over and famine started. The people never knew this. It was only Pharaoh, his officials, and Joseph that knew about this. So the people happily sold out their food to Joseph. Then, about 6 months into the hunger, into the famine, the people were already crying. They needed food. And they cried out to Pharaoh to help, to do something about the situation. Then Pharaoh told them to go to Joseph, whatever he would tell them they should do. So they went to Joseph for food. So now Joseph stored enough food that will supply not only Egypt for 7 years, but the whole world at that time. That was how Egypt became the world's superpower. Because everybody would have to come and buy food from them, and they sold it at the price they wanted. I'll show you. So that happened. The guy is living a good life. Then something happened as well. There was famine in the land of Canaan, where his family was at the time. It's just like 9 months into the famine, and they can feel it already. They managed and managed and managed till it get to a point where everything finished. So their father, Jacob, suggested they go to Egypt to buy food, since there is food there. And this family, the family of Jacob, is loaded. They have money, but the food is not anywhere. You see, it's not enough for you to have money. You need to add wisdom. So they had the money, they had plenty of camel, cow, and everything. The camels are even dying as well, out of hunger. Out of hunger. They are dying. So they went there. When they got there, he sent all of, now you see, Joseph is in Egypt now. He's left with 11 sons. He sent 10 of them. And then he reserved Benjamin. Why? He said, maybe something bad will happen to him, so he shouldn't go. So he sent the 10. If the 10 die, that one, no problem. He doesn't care. But if this one will die, even the 10 will not replace the one for him. What is happening here? The family division again. The family division again. So they went. When they got there, Joseph, you see, as a businessman, there is something to learn from Joseph. Joseph was the prime minister now. He was the highest in rank to Pharaoh in the land. Joseph should have just been in the house and set people on the whole thing, you know, people waiting for him. And he would just be getting richer and richer. But no, he was involved directly in the business. He was selling the corn by himself. So servants were working under him while he was there monitoring. So he knew who came to buy, who doesn't come to buy. He knew everything. So one day he was when these 10 guys showed up, and he recognized them, his own brothers. But the brothers didn't recognize him because they sold him when he was young. Now he's grown up. He's dressed like an Egyptian now. But the one they sold was a Jew. They don't dress like this. So they couldn't recognize him, but he recognized them. So he commanded that when they serve him their food, they should put their money back in their sack for them to go back with. He was not going to take money from them. Then he made inquiry. He first stressed them. He said they are spies. They came to spy the land. So he was going to arrest them. And they said, no, they are not. So they began to tell their family history, that they are actually 12. One died, which they are talking about him. One died, and one is with their father. And here we are, the remaining 10. And our father is also old. Then he said, all right, that's good enough. That's good enough, no problem. But what I'm going to do is you guys will have to prove to me that you are not spies. And the only way you are going to do that is you will leave 2 of your brothers behind, and I'll give you food. 8 of you will go back. The next time you are coming back, come back with your last born, the one you said is with your father. That is Benjamin. You know, Benjamin and Joseph, they came from the same father, same mother. So he was interested in seeing his brother. But since he's not ready to disclose himself to them, he has to use a smart way. Then they agreed. Simeon was left behind and they went back. When they got home, they opened their sack, the money was in. If you read, that was a lot of money. You know, a lot of money they took. That should tell you how much you need to buy one sack of corn at that time. A lot of money. So he restored their money back to them. Then their father was like, after all, we have food. Forget about that Simeon there. He can be there. Don't mind him. So he didn't send them back. They consumed the food, at least 11 sacks of corn. It will be enough for some time. And they know there is famine, so they managed. And the guy was with as a servant with Joseph in Egypt. That should tell you how much he doesn't love that one. He said, forget about that food. Look, let's eat.
They try to kill the son.
God being good, not long, the food finished. And then Joseph was like, guys, you get to go back to Egypt and get us something. That means if they go and Reuben is taken, he don't care. You know, if they have to keep going and one of them will be taken each time, he doesn't really care. As far as Benjamin is not taken, he's okay. Then they said, no. The guy said the next time they are coming, if they don't come back with Benjamin, he don't want to see their face. He was like, he will not release this guy. He was like, never. He's not going to. Then they told him, if you don't release him, we won't go. We won't also go and buy the food. Then Joseph was like, all right, if that's the case. If that's the case, let's see what we can do about the situation. I'm looking for a particular place to read to you.
42.
Oh, I highlighted. Oh, all right. Wait. I'm using different version. That's why I can't see it. I highlighted it. Go to Genesis 42. Okay, Genesis 43. Let's read Genesis 43. Verse 11. And their father said unto them, if it must be so now, do this. You know, they struggle with the father, released Benjamin, and he said no, he was not going to release Benjamin. All right, so let's see what happened. Now, they said, if you don't release him to go with us, we won't go. So now look at what he said, verse 11. And their father Israel said unto them, if it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits of the land in your vessels. I thought there was hunger. There was hunger. But now, Israel, who is the same as Jacob, was ready. Look at what he was going to do. They should take the best of the fruits of the land in their vessels and carry down to the man and present. And then they have to take a little balm, a little honey. They have to take spices, milk, nuts, and almonds, like everything. And they should take double money. They should take double money in their hands, and the money that was restored, the first one that was restored back, they should carry that one and take double money in their hands. Verse 13, and take your brother and arise, go again unto the man. Now, he is ready to take a risk now. He will bear the risk now. So now he's not going to release, Benjamin alone. There is a message in this. Like there is a message in this. You preach, if you were preaching, I would have shown you some principles. Why he released all these things. One man of God preached this message very long ago. The title was, where is your Benjamin? If you want it, you must release your Benjamin. You must release your Benjamin, and even more, if you want it. Releasing Benjamin, you know the story. It saved them, from the famine and a lot. So he released these guys and they got to the land. To the land. Now, he saw they brought Simeon and all the 11 sons were not now standing in front of him, and they bowed down to him to worship him, just like he saw in his dream. It has happened. It has happened, just as he saw in his dream. You remember he saw, he had a dream. The first one, you know, he had a camel, and they also had, and his own stood up, and the other ones surrounded his own, and they were bowing down to him. He also had a dream, saw the moon, the sun, which is the father, the mother, and then he saw 11 stars, and they worship him. And that happened. Now that is the first part, is fulfilled. So let's go to 44, Genesis 44. So he played this game with them, kept playing this game with them till finally he revealed himself to them to let them know that he was Joseph. And they all wept, they cried, felt sorry for all the things they've done. And, you know, so this time he gave them plenty of corn and everything. And he went to request from Pharaoh that he would like his family to come and stay with him in Egypt, because it's just 1 year into the famine. You know, by then it was already 2 years into the famine. So he told the brothers that we have 5 more years to go with the famine, and this food you keep buying up and down is not going to be enough for you. So you guys should come and stay with me here. But you see, look at Genesis 43, verse 32. Look at Genesis 43, verse 32. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So with all of these guys' power, they still considered him a Hebrew, a Jew. And there were certain things that were not allowed in Egypt. Brother Emmanuel, when we are done, you tell us, you know, a few things about Egypt, things you know about Egypt. You tell us. I'll give you that time. You tell us about Egypt. He has been there, so he's a good man to tell us enough. All right. So when he disclosed himself to his brothers, now they all ate together. Eating together, everybody's food was fetched for him. They can't eat together because it was an abomination for an Egyptian to eat with a Jew. Do you see that? So now he requested that his brothers come and stay with him. His brothers come and stay with him. But they cannot stay with him where he was. They cannot. Because they were animal farmers. They reared cattle. And it's also an abomination for the Egyptians to rear cattle. So they could not stay together. So Joseph went to find a place for them called Goshen. And that was where they were going to stay. So he asked the family now to come and stay with him. And the whole family of Jacob, the whole family, Bible said there were 70 people. And they moved. That is Joseph, Jacob, the wife, and the wives. Well, not the wife, wives. And the family, the 12 sons and their children, they all sum up to make 70 people. And they moved to the land of Egypt. That fulfilled Genesis 15, a part of it. what God said, that the descendants of Abraham will end up in a land that is not theirs. And they will serve them. They will be enslaved and serve them. That is fulfilled. So the whole family ended up in Egypt. Now let's look at Genesis 45. Genesis 45. When he disclosed himself to them, they were sorry for everything they did to him. They were sorry for everything. But look at what Joseph told them. Genesis 45 and verse 5. Okay, maybe let's take it from verse 4 so you understand. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that you sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. Listen very well. To preserve life. Verse 6. For those 2 years had the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Very important. Why I just read to you, very, very important. So Joseph is telling them that they shouldn't worry. By selling him, it was God who sent him to preserve lives. Remember, the family of Abraham is God's chosen people. As at now, they are 70 in number. They are 70 in number. Now there is going to be 7 years of famine. How is this family going to live? Their cattle will die by then. All their camels will die. By then, he is rich in gold, but cannot eat gold. So he's going to have a lot of money, but no food. So God is going to use his wisdom to preserve the family of Abraham. That should begin to help you understand. God is able to preserve his own. God is able to preserve his own. So he sent this guy, Joseph, ahead of them to Egypt. There was another way God could have helped this family end up in Egypt. But you see, in order to preserve the family, he has to take the lead to get to a place of advantage that will help the whole family later on. So Joseph went there ahead of them, and then he helped them, and they all ended up there to be with him. So you read Genesis 36, Israel and his family moved there. You know, they moved there, and let me see if there is anything to discuss in 36. So Jacob moved there with his family. Then he settled in the land of Goshen. Genesis 37. Joseph continued to work for Pharaoh in the land of Egypt. I told you last time that he used his wisdom to buy the whole land of Egypt for Pharaoh. And then he leased the land back to them. He leased the land back to them. So the land belongs to Pharaoh. You have it just like you sold it. If you sold the place, go back for it. But this time when you work from henceforth, when you work, I think up to 20% or 5%, I think 20% belongs to Pharaoh. Belongs to Pharaoh. So he leased the land back to them. And that is what they've been practicing. I learned even till today. Now, let's look at Genesis 37, verse 27. Can somebody read for us?
Genesis 47, verse 27. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly.
Continue to read.
All right. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, I pray, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in the burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he sware unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head.
All right. So by faith, this man saw that, look, you know, they've lived in the land of Goshen. That is for many years. It has been many years. They lived there, they prospered, life is all right, everything is nice. And Pharaoh was very nice to the family of Joseph because Pharaoh loved Joseph dearly for what he has done and what he's doing. So by faith, Jacob saw that a day is going to come where these people will be delivered out of Egypt. So he made him vow to him that, look, when I die, don't bury me here. Don't bury me here. Carry my bones. Even if you bury me here, when you guys are leaving, carry my bones with you and go to wherever you will be. You'll be. All right. Now, let's look at Genesis 48. Jacob blessed Joseph's sons. Well, that is not what we are really interested in now. Go to Genesis 49. Genesis 49, Jacob blessed his children. He pronounced blessing upon them. He started blessing them one by one. All right? He started blessing them one by one. And then he started from Reuben. Can somebody read for us from verse, I want us to just look at that of Judah, from verse 8.
Genesis 49.
No, you read from verse 1. You read from verse 1.
All right.
Genesis 49 from verse 1.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, and defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Simon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in thy habitations. O my soul, come not thou unto thy secret, unto thy assembly. Mine honor be not thou united. For in thy anger they slew a man, and in thy self-will they digged down a wall. Cursed be thy anger, for it was fierce, and thy wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Verse 8.
All right. I learned there is a password on the meeting to join. Admin is why is this so? People are not able to join. Even me, I'm not able to join here. There is a password required. What's the password?
I'm not sure why.
That means if you log out, you can't log in again. So make sure your device doesn't log out. Yeah, there's a password requirement. I see another person sending message as well. All right. Is there any solution to that?
Yes, sir, Pastor. I'm working on it.
Okay, now can somebody read? Where did you end?
Verse 8.
Okay, look at verse 9. Sorry, verse 8. Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down. He lies down as a lion. And as a lion, whom shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. And to him shall be the obedience of the people, binding his donkey to the vine, and his donkey's cart to the choice vine. Now I want you to look at verse 10. It says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. You remember in Genesis 38, Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16, 17, 18, God made a promise of the seed of a woman that will come and will defeat the devil, the serpent. Now, this whole story is playing out. It looks like the seed is forgotten. Jacob blessing his children, he pronounced this blessing upon Judah that through the family line of Judah, there is going to be a king. A king will come through the family line of Judah. And through that king, the nation of Israel will be delivered. So now, the family line of Jesus is handed over to Judah. That is why Matthew, you will see Judah was the one chosen. Matthew 1:3 was the one chosen from among his brethren. Because by faith, Jacob saw that the lineage of Judah has a king coming that will save the nation. He would have, if he was just doing this by himself, he would have just, automatically he would have blessed Benjamin with it. But he was doing this by faith. So he was just seeing what is supposed to happen. And then in Genesis 50, he's done blessing all his children. And Joseph gave his last word to them, and Joseph died in Egypt. All right, is it open for us to join now?
Yes, Pastor. It was the recent.
He's still asking for password here.
918151.
Is what?
91.
81.
Yes, sir. 51.
51. Put it in the group. There are some other people who are waiting. They were also not able to join.
Yes, I have put it in the group.
All right. Oh boy, it feels like I was in darkness. I can see you guys now. So here we are, Genesis 50, the story played out and ended up the way it's supposed to be. Now, these guys are in Egypt now. They've so multiplied. People of God, this has been many years up to Genesis 50, from the time they went there to when it's almost like 80 to 90 years. 80 to 90 years they've already spent there. Their cattle multiplied, their animals multiplied, the people multiplied. They are plenty now. So let's go to Exodus 1. Exodus 1 now. So Exodus 1, we are told this whole family, you know, when they moved to Egypt, they were 70. Verse 7. But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Remember, they are blessed children. They are children of the blessing. So every little thing they did prospered. And people of God, the Bible says we who belong to the New Testament, we are much more blessed. You know what is happening today? People of God, get concerned. What is happening today? God's children are suffering. These people multiply. Within 70, they are already a nation. So blessed. So blessed. They look at the words used to describe them. They increased abundantly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty. You know, when the Bible used those words to qualify their growth, it means it is beyond description. They grew mightily and they fill up the land. They are blessed children. They are people that belongs to the covenant. People of the covenant. And the same thing, you see, if you have forgotten who you are, life becomes difficult. But these are people who were conscious of who they are. They were Jews. They are people who came from the family line of Abraham. So the blessing is upon them. The blessing is upon them. Go and read about these guys, you know, the men. To the point that the moment they sleep with a woman once, the woman gets pregnant. But today, Christians are counting low sperm count, something dysfunction, a lot of funny things. They can't give birth. Some can't even find a wife. Read about your grandchildren, your grandparents. All they needed was one shoot, and twins are born. Just one shoot, and twins are born. But today, Christians, even pastors, they can't give birth. They have to go and take some medication. And when they go, what is the problem? They say low sperm count. Go and read about Jacob and those guys. They grew to the point they were fertile. They were fertile to the point that even when they urinate on a woman's leg, the woman will give birth. They were that powerful, that strong. Are the men? Do we have men in the house? Don't let anybody deceive you. Ejaculation problem and something dysfunction, erection. Those things are not. They don't exist in our family. They don't. This is our family. You see, some of you don't know your family. That's why we are here to help you. You know, study this thing. Read about them. Abraham went into Hagar once. You know, once. It's not going to be trying, let's try every month. No try and error here. Once. If you read about Judah, Genesis 38 that I was reading to you, he went out and met a woman he thought was a harlot and went in onto that woman, twins, just once, twins. He left twins behind. So read about your family line. Read about your family. Don't follow your earthly, what they tell you. There is, you know, the family is suffering cancer. something goiter. You know, when you get to 48, you have to grow goiter on your throat, and it is normal. It's associated with the family. You are looking at the wrong family. You are looking at the wrong family. They tell you there is something in the family. Leave that family. Be quick, be smart. Leave that family. Come and join families that function. You know?
Yes, sir.
There is hope. Guys, there is hope for us. There is hope for us. If this were to be the days of Isaac, Jacob, and Abraham, they said there is pandemic and the virus is transmitted through cough. For them, when they cough, babies, you know, they will have babies pandemic. The guys were fertile. I mean, they were just fertile. They were just fertile. Their women could give birth without a womb. They don't need womb. Change family. If your earthly family is not working, they have some funny diseases, some funny sicknesses, you know, leave that family. Join a good one. Join a good one. I was watching a program last time where a man of God asked the church, the men, if anybody have sexual problem here, they can't function in bed, they should come forward. Almost 40% of the congregation went forward. I'm like, whose children are these? This one don't belong to Abraham. They are not from Abraham's family.
They are from Esau.
Abraham's family, such a thing doesn't exist. Such a thing doesn't exist in Abraham's family. Abraham's family, they even give birth in their dream. They could dream and give birth. Except they don't need it. So they multiply. So when the Bible said they multiply, I'm helping you know how they multiplied. Some of them, when they urinate on the ground and a woman walk through it, you are pregnant. The guys were that powerful. Somebody said, this thing pastor is saying, hey, pastor. Hey. I don't know, pastor is like this. I never know pastor is like this. Some of you ladies, you are already hiding your face. Don't worry. You better listen now and receive vitality and strength for your body. If there is anybody here that is not functioning well, may the Lord strengthen you. You won't say amen.
Amen.
Look at them. They are hiding their faces. If there is anybody here, especially the guys, who is not functioning well, may the Lord, strengthen you.
Oh, boy.
If there is any lady here who is already facing reproduction problem, as a young girl, may the Lord restore you.
Amen.
I know some of you, the one who said amen, you are suspecting her, you'll be like, oh, really? May you give birth at the first shoot.
Amen.
That means no sex before marriage, because if you shoot, it's a blessing and also a restriction.
Amen.
That blessing.
If you shoot before marriage, that means you are going to they will bring baby to you. So preserve it. When you marry, after you marry, may you produce your desired number at the first shoot.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
If you want one, may you shoot one. If you want two, may you shoot two.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. So they multiplied. I was just helping you understand how they multiplied. They are children of Abraham. And God didn't just bless them with cattle, gold, and silver. they were also productive. They were fertile. So within few years, they exceedingly multiplied. They filled up the whole land and they prospered. And they prospered. Now, verse 8. You know, as at this point, different pharaohs came. Let me tell you something. Pharaoh was a throne. I don't know if they still practice it today. Pharaoh was a throne, just like Herod. In the olden days, they named the thrones. So whosoever sat on the throne was called by the name. All right, was called by the name. So you see the same Pharaoh played out for several years. Not that the same man was living. They were different people. All right. So no matter who you are, if you sit on the throne, they call you Pharaoh. So if you are the king, they call you Pharaoh. So the Pharaoh in Joseph's days died. The Pharaoh in Joseph's days died. And then verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, look, the people are the children of Israel. They are more and mightier than we. Come, let us deal with them, lest they multiply. And it happened in the event of war that they also join our enemy and fight against us and so go up out of the land. Therefore, they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens. And they build for Pharaoh different things, cities and whatever he wants. So the story changed in Exodus 1:8. The whole story take a different turn. So the story is not meant to be enjoyed anymore. There came a king, there arose a Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph. The land of Egypt was kind to the Jews because of how Joseph preserved their land. And there came another king and was like, well, I don't see how these guys are any blessing to us. If Joseph saved us, that's 100 years ago. So I don't see any reason why these guys should be here. And look, they are more than us. I hope we were told 70 people moved there. Now they are more than them. Within 70 years, 70 people multiplied and they are more than the whole land of Egypt. And they are mightier. They are strong than them. That should tell you the power. They were not adding, they were multiplying. That's why they multiplied. They multiplied.
Yeah, that's to change every day.
The guys were good. They multiplied. Then this king saw the nation to be a threat to his power instead of a blessing. So he was like, let's enslave them before they turn against us. But we are told they were mightier than them. How were they able to enslave them? They were mightier than them. They were stronger than them. And they were more. How were they able to enslave them? Genesis 15, the Lord spoke it, that they will be slaves in a foreign land. They will be afflicted in a foreign land. But the question is, what happened? In the foreign land, were they still serving their God? Were they still serving their God? When you read Genesis, when God asked Jacob to move back to Canaan, where he was before, Bible said Jacob called all his brethren and told them to leave they are hidden gods. That means as children of Israel, children of Abraham, they had gods. They had images they were worshiping. So Jacob had to tell them to leave these things behind so they can move. How did they know about it? How did they know about these gods? You remember we were told Rachel stole their father's gods,
Yes,
right? She might have set it somewhere. Maybe the worship might have started from there. He might have shown it to, she even died. She might have shown it to Jacob or whoever, you know, and they were doing those things. Where did this thing start from? Now they are in a foreign land now. They were only dressing as Jews, but they were not worshiping their God. They have rejected their God. They have forgotten about their God. Israel is good at that. I told you, pandemic is here, and it's like a foreign land for most of you. You are very close to God now. It will be over soon. And you will see whether you will be committed to the services like this or not. When life is good, it's easy to forget God. When there is no challenge, it's easy to forget God. When things seem all right, it's easy to forget God. You start giving excuses. Now your business is flourishing. Sunday, you be like, you know, I have some business meeting to attend. Sunday. But when things were not all right, you were in the choir. You were in the choir. You were singing for a church. You were very close to pastor. Now, Sunday, you are going on business trip. Sunday, you don't go to church anymore. Even if you go, you are a busy man. By 30 minutes now, you have to leave. While pastor is still preaching, you will have to leave. Why? Life is getting good. Well, personally, I've seen this before. I've seen many people fall as a result of this. I've seen it several times. There was a young brother who was doing very well in church, and somebody blessed him with a car. At first, when he was coming to church, according to those who traveled the same line with him, he will pay for everybody's, you know, lorry fare. If you sit in car with him, he will pay your fare. Now, God bless him with a car. Now, when they close, he won't pick anybody. He will drive empty out of the church premises. Yes, there were people going to his area. And now start picking strange women. He was giving lifts. You know, he was giving lifts now. Until he ended up falling in love with one of these strange women. And he married. Everything seems all right over time. But the whole story turned out, he lost his car, you know, and even the woman, he lost the woman. His life came back to zero again. He has to start from one again. And we are not saying it was God who took everything from him. No, that was the result of his choice. You see, Israel forgot about their God. They were only dressing as Jews. They were only doing things as Jews. But their God that defined them to be Jews, they forgot about him. So this guy came, he rose and overpowered them. And he enslaved them. And he used them for hard work to achieve his purpose. By doing that, he saw that, look, even in their affliction, the people were still multiplying. In their affliction, in their hard labor, the people were still multiplying. So now he set a law. He told the Hebrew midwives, not the Egyptian midwives, the Hebrew midwives, that henceforth, if they give birth and it's a male, they should kill the child. If it is a female, they should allow the child to live. And the Bible said the Hebrew women, they fear God. So they didn't do it. For that, God blessed the midwives for doing that. And they told Pharaoh got to know about it. He got upset with them. And they told Pharaoh, they said, Pharaoh, listen very well. The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. For them, when their labor time is due, they just open the leg and the baby come out. Unlike the Hebrew ones that they have to put amoxicillin on them, amodiaquine, they have to go and deliver in hospital and be there like 4 days before they recover. The Egyptian, the Hebrew women are not like that. They were strong women. I am telling you, they are blessed people. Are the women listening to me?
Yes, Pastor.
In the family line of Abraham, nobody had ectopic pregnancy. No. Nobody went to labor and died. Someone said, what about Rachel? Uh-oh. Well, I don't want to give the answer here. If you are smart enough, you will know. They don't die in labor. They were blessed people. So he said, these women are not like your women. They don't, most of them don't even need midwife to deliver. They could deliver by themselves. So by the time we get there, they have already delivered. So we can't kill their babies. Pharaoh gave them this idea that while they deliver and still in pain, they have not yet seen the baby. While the baby come out, press the neck, kill the baby, and tell her that, oh, we are sorry you lost your baby, but here he is, but we are sorry. And they told Pharaoh that, look, the Hebrew women are not like that. They could deliver by themselves, looking at the baby coming out. So they don't need, midwife assistance. That's why we couldn't kill them, because Pharaoh noticed that they were still multiplying, even after he has given that law. So now, he went further. He declared that if they see any Egyptian baby, they should kill anybody. Now, not the midwives now, anybody. Exodus 2. Now, Moses was born. The law was already in place. Verse 1. And a man of the house of Levi took wife of the daughters of Levi. Did you see that? So who was Moses? A Levite.
Yes, sir.
His father a Levite, his mother a Levite. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And she saw that he was a beautiful child. That's how New King James put it. If you read in the book of Hebrews 11, the Bible says that by faith, Moses' parents saw that Moses was a proper child. Not just because he was handsome, but there was something about Moses. May you give birth to a proper child.
Amen. Amen.
May you never look at your side and say, what is all this?
Amen.
May you be happy with your own son.
Amen.
Mm.
You know how some parents are not happy with their children. And through this, just take the baby and say, so all these things now. So the baby is crying, they won't even mind him. They even wish the baby died.
Hey.
Because the baby is some multicolored, some parts are black, others are, you don't know exactly what happened to this type of baby. May you give birth to a colorful baby.
Oh, yes.
Amen.
A bouncing one.
Amen.
And one who is good to look at. You
Amen.
go out, everybody wants to take your baby. There are some babies, look, nobody wants to take them. Even if they are happy, nobody wants them to come close to them.
Hey.
When the baby smiles, all the teeth are bent.
Hey.
So it's not attractive for anybody to want to come close to that type of baby. The one whose teeth are not bent, the teeth are arranged, they turn, a vertical like this. The teeth are standing like this in the mouth. A baby. Some are growing in front. Some of the teeth are growing in front of another.
Hey.
So when he smiles, everybody don't want this type of. They say, hey, hello, wow, but they go away. They don't want to carry that type of baby. But this, Moses' parents saw that the child was a proper child. There was something about the child. So he wouldn't like this baby to be killed. So what he did was he put the baby in a basket and put the baby on the river and pushed the baby to the palace. All right, the palace, they had this river slope down there where, in a particular place where Pharaoh and his daughter and they used to shower. Their days is not like today where you have water closet inside your room. They have to go to the river to go and shower. So while Pharaoh's daughter was showering and the maids were walking, at the river bank, they saw the basket. Moses' mother put the child there and pushed it towards where Pharaoh's daughter was. And they saw the basket. They went to fetch it. And the Bible said Moses' sister was hiding, waiting to see what will happen to the child. So they picked this baby. Moses' sister came out. I was like, wow, Pharaoh's daughter, please, can I get you somebody to nurse this child for you? Pharaoh's daughter was like, yes, because they saw that the child was a Hebrew. How did they know? Just the look alone will help you. So they knew that, and Moses' sister went to call Moses' mother to come and nurse Moses. Then he was not given any name. And Pharaoh's daughter was paying Moses' mother for taking care of her own child. Favor has started. Her own child that way. Now, she took care of Moses. While she was doing that, she taught Moses to understand that he was not a Jew. People of God, listen to this part very well. He made Moses knew that he was not an Egyptian. He was a Jew. So Moses grew up knowing that he was a Jew, not an Egyptian. But he knew the story why there is a need for him to go back to Pharaoh's house. So Moses was taken back to Pharaoh's house. And Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses. So he lived in the palace or the palace, whichever one you are used to. He lived there. He got access to everything he needed. Pharaoh raised him an army officer. Moses was an army officer in the house of Pharaoh, and he was a prince. He was a prince in the house of Pharaoh. He got access to everything he needed. Then one day, the Bible says Moses went out of the palace and went to the field where the Egyptians were being treated bad. He went to visit his people. People of God, this is what described Moses to be the meekest person. He could have just sit in the palace and said, I don't really care about these people. It is their foolishness that ended them this way. He could have just concluded anyway and quietly enjoy the palace. But no, Bible says he went out one day to visit his own people. In their affliction, he went to visit them. So when he got there, to them, they thought, Pharaoh's son is here. That's what they thought. Because he was in the house of Pharaoh, he dressed like the Egyptians, like the Egyptians. So Pharaoh's son is out. And while he was passing in town, people were bowing down to him. May you live long. Oh, prince, may you live long. People were just, hailing him. And he walked straight to the field to see the affliction of his people. Now, we don't know that Moses is making any history until the book of Hebrew revealed to us the meaning of his action. I'll read it to you. Then the Bible said he got there and he saw the affliction of his people, and it was too much. So he planned. He was going to kill the Egyptians one by one till he will finish them. He just don't know how to deliver these people, but he had the vision to deliver them. But he don't know how he was going to do it. So he decided he was going to kill them one by one till he will finish all of them, till he will kill Pharaoh himself as the last person. So he got there, an Egyptian and a Jew and a Hebrew, they were fighting. And he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And he went to the house. He went back. Pharaoh was seated in the chair. He greeted him, "May you live long, sir." He went back to his room. But to him, he had started the war one by one. He was like, "Even you, Pharaoh, you will go very soon. You just be there. Your time will come." He entered his room. The Bible said another time, he went out to the field again to visit his people. Then this time when he got there, 2 Hebrew men were fighting, 2 Hebrews. Then he separated them and said, "Guys, don't fight. You are one people." Somebody, one of them, the one who is even at fault, he was like, "Prince, who asked you, who set you Lord over us? Go and be in your palace and mind your own business. Leave us alone. We are Jews. Allow us to do our thing. And go back to your palace and enjoy." You want to kill me just like you killed the other fellow last time? That was his statement. You want to kill me just like you killed the other fellow last time? And Moses realized that the killing he did was known. He thought it was a secret. So Exodus 2, Moses fled. Pharaoh got to know about it. Just like the guy said it. Others heard it and they reported to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh wanted to kill Moses. And Moses ran away. Do you know something? The savior of the Hebrews has been betrayed. Somebody who is going to save them. One of his own people, the people he was fighting for, has betrayed him. Now the savior will have to run away. As at now, Moses was 40 years. He was 40 years. And he had the capability to deliver them at that time. But well, 2 things. God said they will be there for 400 years. It's not yet 400 years. It's like 350 years. It's not yet 400 years. But even if he was going to kill them one by one, by 50 years' time, he will be done. But one of his own people betrayed the savior. So their affliction has to be prolonged. I'm teaching you a principle. Sometimes the one to raise you, if you betray him, your training will have to be prolonged. So you realize you just never graduate. Same place all the time. Same level all the time. You will not listen. Always you push in your opinions. Therefore, you never got trained. Same level all the time. God will raise another teacher to you. No, that is also not going to work. So the savior Moses has been betrayed and he ran away from Egypt into Midian. He became a shepherd. One thing, God doesn't want to use an army officer to deliver his people. Moses has been trained for 40 years to be an army officer. And God doesn't want to use army officer to deliver his people. So this happened by the will of God for 2 main reasons. Number 1, so that the 400 years will be fully fulfilled. So if Moses will start this deliverance very soon, that is before time. So something happened and he has to run away for 40 years. Another 40 years, Moses has to be away for another 40 years. And number 2, Moses needed to be untrained from being an army officer to being a shepherd. God wants to use a shepherd to deliver his people, not an army officer. So Moses needed to be untrained. He has to lose all those qualities of being an army officer. He needed a heart of a shepherd, not the skills of an army officer. So he needed to be untrained. So now he ran to the land of Midian and he became a shepherd. He started his shepherd work now. For 40 years, Moses was a shepherd. By 40 years' time, he was ready for ministry. His heart has changed from being an army officer to a shepherd now. Then one day, he led his people, he led his Exodus 3. One day, the way I'm narrating it to you, even if you don't read it, you are getting all the details. If only you are listening well. One day, he led these animals, whether they were sheep or goats or whatever, he led them to the wilderness to feed as usual. Then he saw a bush burning. And at first, he didn't really mind because wilderness is a desert place. It's normal for a grass, to burn in the wilderness. So he wasn't really he didn't pay attention to it. Then he would do what he was doing. He would turn. The grass is still burning. But this time he noticed, it looks like the grass is burning, but it's not being consumed. The fire is there, and all the land, the grass is still green. And he has observed this for several times, at least. It's been like 30 minutes. By now, the grass should be consumed. But anytime he will look, the grass is still green. So he told himself, let me get close and see what is happening here. Why did God set up the fire? He needed Moses' attention. He needed Moses' attention. So he intentionally set up the fire there. He was a shepherd man. He understands firework. So he needed something similar to his job. Then he got close. While he got close, wanted to see what is happening, the Bible said God called him out of the fire, Moses. Then he ran back. Hey, the fire that is burning is now talking. Not just talking, mention my name. He was frightened. He stepped back. And God said, it's okay, don't come further. Just stay where you are. And now, take off the shoes from your feet. But if you read in the Bible says, an angel of the Lord appeared to him. It was not an angel. That was the Holy Spirit. But in the Old Testament, the Holy Spirit was not known. So they mostly called him the angel of the Lord. Angels don't accept worship from men. An angel cannot tell a man to take off his shoe. It was God himself. Then he gave him that, I've heard the affliction of my people in the land of Egypt. Now they are tired and they are crying out. They needed their God now. Now they've remembered their God. I told you they forgot about their God. When the affliction was too much, somebody among them remembered. I think we had some God somewhere. One of the children might have asked their parents, why are we called the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? And they said, well, there was a God, some funny God who appeared to them. Said he was going to bless them and do so and so to them, and that we are their descendants. The child might have asked, so where is that God? They said, oh, that's a long history. You are a child. You don't need to know all these things. One of them might have begun to find out about their God. When he found out, he might have gathered the people and said, hey, we have a God. Can't we return back to this God? So anyhow, whatever happened, they remembered their God and they cried out to the God of Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham. And God heard their cry because the 400 years are over. And then God needed somebody to deliver them. It will take a man who has the same vision before to deliver them. Because Moses had the vision, not because God laid on his heart. He just had the vision by his own compassion. He had a vision to deliver them. So when the time was due, God will have to look for somebody who has the same vision. People of God, it's important you have a vision. If you don't, it was the vision of Moses that preserved him. He would have died. It was his vision to deliver the children of Israel that preserved the life of Moses. I told you several times that if you have a vision, your vision is enough to preserve you. I can't die of coronavirus because I have a vision into 2070. The year 2070, I have a vision there. I can't die 2020. Get a vision. With your vision, you will live. If God needed somebody in that field, he will lay a hold of you because you have a vision there. He is going to use your vision. By doing that, you are working for God and you are also achieving your vision at the same time. So Moses had this vision to deliver the people. Now it's time. God needed somebody to deliver them. He has to go for the person who has the vision. So he went to Moses, even though he was not among them. He has to go and call for him wherever he is. Because no other person has the vision among the billion children of Israel. It will take the man who has the vision. So God went to look for him, even in a foreign land, and send him back to Pharaoh. But I would like to read certain things that happen, a dialogue between God and Moses before Moses was sent. You know, God appeared to Moses. Moses said, well, I understand this whole thing you are talking about, but I have a problem. I can't really talk well. You know, I can't talk well. You know, Moses was, hello? How are you? Moses was that type. You see it. He stammers when he speaks. Okay, he stammers when he speaks. He can't talk well, like, you know. Yes. He will do that in like 4 minutes, only to say yes. And those people also love to talk a lot. The guy who cannot talk. They love to talk a lot. No. Just no. So you stand in front of this person and he's narrating a story. Boy.
Jesus Christ.
You know, you change several posters and he's still now starting the story. Spitting saliva on your face while, you know, trying to say simple thing. A very simple thing. Some of you are like that. You type like that. WhatsApp, you see him typing. It has shown typing. You are waiting. It's been 4 minutes. The only thing that comes is no. After waiting 4 minutes of typing, no. Because you see, he don't know where the alphabets are on the keyboard. So when he press N, he has to use like 4 minutes to look for where the O is. And you saw typing. It's showing there, typing. And you are waiting for something good to come, to come. Have you sent the money? And you are waiting for, maybe he's explaining how you go and catch the money, you know? How can I get the money? Waiting how you go and catch the money. Then you saw typing, you are waiting. Oh, he's typing your name and the QR code number, the bank and where, you know, you are just there exciting. Only to send no. It's been 7 minutes, no. So now he is now going to explain why he didn't send the money. That is going to take 4 days. Why? Because you didn't train yourself to type on a keyboard. You don't know where the keys are. You don't know where the alphabets are. You can't type. You see, most of you don't type. You tap. Tap the keys. You are not typing. You are tabbing the keys. At this age, you should know how to type and type very well. You should know it. We are in a computerized world. You should know how to type. It's a shame if you don't know how to type well. It's a shame. Already, you have programmed yourself for failure in the future. You have done it already if you don't know how to type. So your future, Satan is not responsible. You are responsible. You have already programmed yourself. So you are going to meet somebody who wanted to help you. He asks you, I hope you can type. You are like, not really. Not really. They ask you, what is your WPM? What is your WPM? You are like, what is that one too? Like some of you are wondering now, hey, what is WPM?
It's 200.
WPM is word per minute, the number of words you can type per minute. You don't know because you don't even type. Not how many alphabets you can click. Words, how many words can you type per minute? They ask you, you don't even know what PM means. So he wanted to help, by your laziness, they will just be like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I wanted to help, but I'm sorry, I can't help. Then you go around looking for job, praying to God. Oh, God, Father God in heaven, God of Isaac. You say, we are just studying about you in Torah. You promise, and your promises are yea and amen. You can speak all the King James. If you are not trained, God won't open doors for you because he don't want you to go and disgrace him. You think God likes disgrace? He likes children that he can boast of, not the ones that will disgrace him. And they are telling you, learn. You are like, don't mind these guys. You won't learn. So God gave him several signs, told him, when you go first, Moses was not sent straight to Pharaoh. He was first sent to the Hebrews first.
Elders.
After several signs, Moses was ready. He gave excuses. He cannot talk. God said, all right, I will let your brother Aaron. Aaron was 3 years older than Moses. I will let your elder brother Aaron go with you, since he can talk well. And he's going to help you with the work. So he assists him, and they went to the children of Israel. They went to the elders of Israel in Egypt. They got there, they said, well, I am Moses. My mother is so and so, my father is so and so, and I ended up in the house of Pharaoh. Some of you knew me, you heard of me, that a Hebrew guy ran away from the palace. I am the one. They went, oh, Moses, may you live long. Oh, welcome. They welcome him nicely. Oh, you are Moses. Wow, you have grown. You know how they are, right? You have grown. Look at your beards now. Wow. They receive him nicely. Then he told them that the God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob have appeared to me, and he has sent me to you guys. And they were like, well, okay, what can we do for that God? Then he said, we, with my leadership, Moses, we go to confront Pharaoh to let his people go. They were supposed to go out of Egypt. Why did they need to get out of Egypt? Because they have been corrupted with the culture of Egypt. So they needed to leave the land. They behave like the Egyptians now. If you read in the New Testament, the Bible said Egypt was a type of the world. It's the world. You know, sometimes when we preach in the New Testament, people don't understand. That's why I want to have this Torah class to help you understand the Old Testament. So when we talk about these things in the New Testament, people can relate with it. Egypt was the world. It's a type of the world. How the world is how Egypt was to them. They are so used to the things of Egypt. They've been corrupted with the life of Egypt. These are Jews. The only difference is the dressing. The dressing is the only culture they maintain. But every other way of doing things, they have to. When they got to the wilderness, you remember their cry, right?
Yes, sir.
They could not even call garlic of their own. It was Egyptian garlic. Cucumber, it was Egyptian cucumber. Yet they were the one growing it. They couldn't even name it by their own, you know. They said the garlic of Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons. Is that when we remember the way we used to eat in Egypt? Oh boy. By now we would have been full and have been sleeping by now. Egypt ate into them. Egypt ate into them. Same way, when you get born again, you need to get out of the world. You can't be in the world and serve God. Israel could not serve God in Egypt. They could not. They needed to get out of the place. So the elders agree. They said, okay, so Moses, when are we starting? They said, well, maybe let's give us 3 days to rest. You know, we just journeyed from Midian to this place. We are tired, so give us 3 days to rest. And 3 days time we will go. The elders agree that we will go and confront that Pharaoh. But God told Moses that he was going to harden Pharaoh's heart. At first, God said Moses was going to be very hard. He will not allow the people to go except with a strong hand.
Yes.
That is the first part. The second part, God said he was also going to harden his heart, and he will not allow the people to go. If you read the total summary of it, God said he raised Pharaoh for the purpose to display his power. So these 3 things are very important to study. Pharaoh was going to be hard by himself. God was going to harden his heart. But by the end of the whole thing, Pharaoh's life was to bring glory to God. So Pharaoh was raised that way not to respect anybody. Actually, Pharaoh was raised never to respect anybody. Pharaoh never begged anybody. It's not part of his life. He was raised to be stubborn, to be hard. He was raised that way. I told you, God can use a man as a tool and dump him. He used Pharaoh for his glory. He didn't reward Pharaoh for that. He used Satan to achieve his salvation plan. There is no reward for Satan for that. Same way you can be a pastor. God will use you and dump you, no reward for you. You go to hell. I explained those things in the Matthew class yesterday, those of you who were not there. And yet you are leaders. You shouldn't be missing services like this. You are leaders. You shouldn't be missing services like this. So God can use you, a mighty leader. But if you are not careful, you don't listen to the voice of the Spirit of God, God will just use you to do mighty miracles and dump you. No reward for you. He's not going to reward you for it. If you think you have done so much and deserve God's reward, then Satan deserves a greater reward. It took Satan to achieve our salvation plan. Satan was needed, badly needed. So God used him. He used Satan in a mighty way. So don't think you are performing miracles, so that's all. No. God once used a donkey. He didn't reward the donkey. he raised up Pharaoh that way to display his glory the first time to the whole world, because Egypt was at that time the world superpower, like US is today. Anything that happened in US, it takes seconds for the whole world to hear. So now the whole world started hearing that there is darkness in Egypt, and it is the God of the Hebrews that is doing it. Then the world doesn't know any God of Hebrews, but they were like, oh, wow, that God must be very powerful. Wow, really? Then they say, oh, not only darkness, all their water has turned to blood. They'll be like, wow, now God is getting known. You see, Egypt pandemic is causing God to be well known. So he used the character of Pharaoh to display his glory to the whole world. But there was no price, no payment, no reward for Pharaoh for doing that. Actually, God ended up, after using him, he punished him on top. That is a message to a minister of God. You can know that the fact that God is using you doesn't mean all is right. You have to listen to his spirit. If you don't follow his leading, he will use you mightily to save many lives, and when he finishes, he will dump you. No reward for you. I know some ministers who are very stubborn. They will just not, simple instructions they will not follow. Yet they are leading people. Sometimes I look at some leaders and I feel sorry for them. They think it is about them. No, you are making a mistake. It's not about you. It is about the people God has given. One day he's going to call you forward, request their blood from you one by one. What did you do with their life? How did you help them to grow? You have to account for all of them. For their sake, you must attend services like this, for their sake. If you don't need these meetings, for their sake, you have to. For their sake. Very soon, if you don't come to meetings like this, and they come, and God bless them and give them all these revelations, the next thing is they will start attacking you because your message is out of date. They will start attacking you. Very soon you will preach a baby revelation and they walk out of your presence. Now they will not regard you as a leader anymore because your message is out of date. They've known a lot that you don't know. It seems like you are not growing as a leader. They can't tell you because you are a leader. So they will hail you. They will keep you in that leadership position, but in their hearts are far away from you. Sometimes I have to beg people to go back to their fellowship. They are not ready to go back anymore. Because when they look at the type of revelation these guys are preaching in the fellowship and the type of the word of God they are receiving here, they feel like, I don't want to go back to that place. They don't feel comfortable there anymore. The same thing Pastor Naya proved that it is wrong is the same thing we do there. But in order for them not to feel like, oh, Pastor Naya has come to do, we have to beg them to go back. But they are leaders. So they have to give that reverence. When that is happening, it's a proof that very soon God is going to drop you. They will just come and say, oh, you know, we have to change leadership. You have failed. You have failed. You have failed. Especially if this is your first calling and you failed, then you have a big problem. If you're not careful, God may not use you anymore. You have to be hungry for the word, for their sake, for the people you are leading. Sometimes you don't need things like this, but for their sake. You are a shepherd in front and the people are following you. They are following you. So usually what happens is when they join meetings like this and they grow, Satan stirs their leaders against them. They make them feel like they are doing something bad. Look, I am somebody who understands Satan's strategy a lot. Yesterday in Torah class, in Matthew class, I was explaining to you what happens in the shrines. Do you remember how they solve one problem and give another one? How in the process of time, shrine life never ends. There are families today, because their grandfather or mother went to a shrine, there is a shrine that still lay claim to the family. the gods, the demon of that shrine could get anybody mad in the family anytime he wants. He could kill anybody in the family anytime he wants, because one person from the family went to make covenant with that shrine. Some of you, you've been born again. When you got born again, your parents' attitude towards you has changed. It's Satan. Satan will stir them against you. Sometimes your friends, all your friends just don't like you anymore because they've noticed you are growing. So they just don't like you anymore. It's Satan. It's not your friends, it's Satan. They will hate you to the point that you yourself, you feel like you are doing something wrong. Yes, you are not doing anything wrong, because you cannot go to the places you used to go with them when you were not, you didn't know these things. So now that you cannot live the life they are living, they have to find a way to attack you. With the help of Satan, they will hate you with, the hatred is an attack. It's not just they hate you. They will hate you to the point that even in your sleep, you notice all is not well. Bitterly, they will hate you bitterly. Sometimes your own parents, Satan will stay against you. They will tell you, if you want to continue going to that church, you will not live in this house. Some of you, your parents have already spoken to you. If you are planning to become a pastor, don't come back to this house. They've sent you a message already. If you are planning to come back that pastor, you are not stepping in this house. It is not your parents. It is Satan. So now the choice is with you. Which one do you choose? I share the message. A choice. When two choices are presented, before you, one is Christ, the other one is the devil. Which one would you choose? All right, it's time. We have to end service here today. I believe you were blessed. Brother Emmanuel, can you tell us a few things about Egypt? So that when we are studying this, now we are out of the land of Israel. We are now in Egypt. So when we are studying these things, tell us anything you know about Egypt. What are related to these things we are studying, all the things you saw in Egypt. Hey, give us something.
All right, thank you, Pastor, for the opportunity. The land of Egypt, basically there are